Good morning. So here we are. It is Monday, the 12th of May, right? April. Yes, April, not May. May is closer to the end of the year, and we are not there yet. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're back from break, and now we are into the last week of our third marking period and the final run towards the end of the year. From here until the end of the year, for the next 11 weeks, one day off. Yeah. So let's start going, though, because we have so much to do and so much less time to do it in. So why don't we first take a look? Where are we working? What program do we use? How do we do this school thing? I understand. It's been nearly a week. How we do the school thing is right here through Schoology. As always, we scroll down for Unit 6, the human body. And now we are in week 5, nervous system, respiratory, and endocrine. We're going to cover, I think, all of them this week. We may not quite get to respiratory. There's a lab to go with it, but we will be testing out towards the middle of next week, probably right around Wednesday. And when we take a look inside this week, you can see we have the nervous system PowerPoint that we've been working on throughout last week. It's back again. And then we have 2 different labs. Now, I'm trying, like previously when we've had 2 different labs, I try to explain who's going to do what on what day. Now I just labeled them. So if you take a look, it says brain and its function lab in person, assuming that you're going to be in person. If not, that's what this video is for. And then optical illusion, digital. So the optical illusion one is very easy to do on your own. And so for those of you who are digital, let's say today, Monday, well, this is going to be a really good lab for you to work on during this day. So just follow along. If you're in person, we'll do this one. If you are digital, we'll do this one. If you're fully digital, you still got to do both. We'll figure it out. But let's go over the brain and its function. How do we do this? What does it look like? Well, it's right here. All right, so now, excuse me, what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at the parts of the brain far more directly for what they do and the part of the body that they control. You guys can read this, then we can go down. These are all different parts of the brain. The cerebellum, the cerebrum, the medulla, those 3. So for each one of those, for what we need, part of the brain. Oh. Part of the brain. Part of the brain. You guys get the idea. Now, I'm going to leave you to look up and figure out what the difference between voluntary and involuntary is. Just based on the names, you should have some level of understanding that, all right, these 2 things are very, very closely related to each other because their names are so similar. Then it's going to want all sorts of colored pencils or markers. You're going to be labeling different things. Whoa, craziness. All right, so what does it actually boil down to? First things first. We're going to label what all these different parts of the brain are. Now, when you look at them, you may think, oh my God, how am I supposed to know what all of those are? It's labeled for you right here. Literally. Right here. So A is the vision center. So you come down here, there's A. A comes down to this one. So this is the vision center. The idea. And then B is right here. And if we check, B is the speech center. So you get the idea. Now, the hard part, though, are these three, because these three are which part of the brain that we talked about, the cerebellum, cerebrum, or medulla. So I'm going to help you guys out with this one. The big part, the largest bit, that's your cerebrum. The smaller bit down here at the bottom, is your cerebellum. And finally, down here at the bottom, this is your medulla or your brainstem. And I trust that you can label the rest of these by following this. All right, then comes the complicated part. So now this is looking straight down on the top of the head. You can see the nose and the ears on the diagram there. And what we want to do is it wants you to go through these different parts and link them up with what's happening here on the next page. Let me show you. It is not that complicated. So down here at the bottom, here is our guide. So match the brain areas in figure 2 with their corresponding body areas of figure 3 by coloring them in as follows. Oh, okay, not too bad. Capital A gets solid red. So we go to the red, we find capital A, and we would color this in solid. Right? Now, we would go to this diagram, find capital A, it's right here. Oh, it's doing a weird drawing thing. I don't know what you are, go away. And then we would color this in solid as well, which I would need a much larger, and kind of similar to all of our previous labs. I don't care if everything's perfectly in the lines. We want the idea. So what we're saying is that this part of the brain that you see right here that we've colored in solid red controls the left side leg. So your left leg for muscle control. You can see it labeled right there. So left leg muscle control is at capital A. Then we move on to the next one. Capital A prime with that little dash gets striped red. No problem. Put some stripes in here. Right? And then we come down here. Capital A prime. Ah, there it is. So we do some stripes. We do some very bad stripes. All right. So now that we have that, there go the lights. We can scroll back up and we can see that capital A prime is body pain, and in this case, once again, in the left leg. So capital A is muscle control in the left leg. Capital A prime is pain in the left leg. Then we come back up. Little a is crisscross. So we crisscross it. We come down here. Where is little a? Little a is over here. And we still want to do that crisscross. All right. And we know that little a's crisscross controls the right side muscle. So that controls the right side muscle of the leg. And then little a prime gets dots. And then we come down here, here's little a prime, and we give them a bunch of pimples. Chicken pox, maybe, right? And so now we know those 4 parts of the brain. We know that these front 2 are involved in the muscle control. We know that the back 2 are involved in the pain, and that they're all involved with the legs. The ones on the right here are the left leg. The ones on the left are the right leg. Then we move on to B. That's going to be in blues, following the same pattern. C will be in greens, D will be in yellow, E will be in gray. So you just follow along. You do each of the patterns with each of the colors in this brain diagram, and then again down here. And then we move on to the questions. Which brain area is the largest? Well, check figure 1. That's why we labeled them. What side and function? Well, that's coming up here to the diagram. On what brain side of the cerebrum do the following appear? Come up to the brain sides, left or right. What brain side do these appear? What side and function are those? By using your answers to 5 and 6, explain how brain side and body sensation of pain are related. Once again, which side does what? Circle the answers that are correct. Once again, from your diagrams. Number 9, and number 9, this is the key. This is why understanding this is so important. All right, so number 9 is saying that a stroke or a cardiovascular accident, a burst blood vessel, some sort of brain damage. This results in damage to the brain area near the broken blood vessels. Now that area does not get the oxygen it needs because the blood vessel is broken, so it's not delivering oxygen to that part of the brain. Using figure 2 as a guide, predict how a person will be affected if they suffer a stroke in, and then it gives you a bunch of different areas. So you come back up here to the areas. Capital A is right here. Now, if they suffer a stroke and this part of their brain takes damage, so it can't work right, come down here. Well, capital A is right there, right? That is the left side muscle control. So what would happen to their left leg? If they have a stroke that affects part A, then their left leg is now paralyzed because they lose the ability to control the muscles. And then you can come up and check out figure C. Capital C is right here. And if we check this diagram, capital C is muscle control of the left arm. So then this would result in the left arm would be paralyzed. So when somebody suffers a stroke, and we quite often see partial paralysis in their face and their body, understand why. It's because the different functions of the brain are separated into the left and the right hemisphere. And so if you suffer a stroke in one area, that's only going to hurt the parts of the brain over here that control the connected body segment. And so we see people very, very often after a stroke having partial paralysis in their face, where one side of their face doesn't move like the other one does. It's very, very common. Use the diagrams to answer it, and that's the lab. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, as my son, who is 4, says. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, this is going to be a pain. Is there just a... Oh, boy. All right. I'll need to take a few minutes to delete all of those tiny little dots. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that helps. I'll see you in class.